A cyber attack hitting production of several major newspapers, including the Chicago Tribune, the New York Daily News, and the Baltimore Sun, among others. To cybersecurity expert David Kennedy on what businesses can do to protect themselves. First of all, what do you think was going on here?
Well, David, thanks for having me on. What's interesting about this one specifically is that a number of different news organizations from Los Angeles to Chicago were hit where they couldn't even produce newspapers because of the malware that was dropped onto these systems. And this is a type of malware known as ransomware. But what's really interesting about this one specifically was there was no demands for payments or anything like that, which would indicate more of a trying to destroy or to hurt computer systems than really actually make monetary gain off of these that we traditionally see from normal hackers. So it's a really interesting one going on.
It is, and that's what stuck out to me is that there wasn't any of this. Usually they're after, people's credit cards or other stuff that they can make money off of. So it seems like this was a specific attack. I mean, newspapers, I'm an old newspaper guy, they're having enough trouble. They don't need this on top of all the other problems they have, but it looks like a specific attack against these organizations, right?
What's interesting is if you look at what happened recently with the Marriott Starwood breach, they had been breached for several years, and none of that data was actually published or being sold on the underground market, and it came out a few weeks afterwards that is attributed to a China hack. So a lot of these types of attacks that we see where there's no specific monetary gain for these are usually not attributed back to organized crime. And most specifically in this specific attack against the newspapers, the malicious software that was identified was called ransomware, which is a known variant from North Korea. Now, I don't want to say that it was North Korea because we still don't have a lot of the detail, but this type of malware has been used before in the past, and most notably, some of the remnants of the code was used in the Sony breach where they destroyed Sony's infrastructure during those movies. So we're looking right now to see if it was nation states or who was involved, but it's pretty damaging towards those newspapers who generally lack a lot of security.
You say we're looking now. Will that be a combination of private efforts, the companies themselves, and federal government?
That's right. Usually what happens in these types of situations is that a third-party company will go in conjunction with law enforcement to try to identify where the attackers came from and who they were, looking at code similarities. Can we attribute them back to a specific nation state or an organized crime unit or individual hackers, and try to identify those so they can prevent them in the future. That kicks off almost immediately when these types of breaches occur.
Now, most of us obviously don't work for newspapers. In fact, the number of people who do is a dwindling minority now. But I'm just wondering whether this kind of attack, if we could expect to see it in other industries that might affect us.
Well, specifically if it was North Korea, usually there's two motives that North Koreans have. One is monetary gain. They play very heavily in trying to get as much money as possible for the regime, hacking companies and mining Bitcoin and Monero and other cryptocurrencies, trying to extort money in order for them to pay ransoms.
But that doesn't seem to be what's going on here.
No, and their second motive is usually politically charged, where they can shut down areas where they can show the regime in a higher light, or if they did a bad press release or a newspaper release against North Koreans or the president, to retaliate in some way, shape, or form. So this is what, at least on the surface, what appears to be happening right now, which is an interesting development that we'll continue to look for.
And finally, David, do you think we're going to find out who did it eventually? I mean, is it easy to eventually trace the perp here?
So attribution is really difficult to find out individuals. We look for areas where they may slip up or code that is not shared between anybody else other than specific groups. I would say that in most circumstances, we can attribute it back to a specific group or a nation state or somebody that was hacking them. So I think we'll get more information as the time comes along. But in most cases, it is a very difficult process, takes a lot of time, and requires a lot of artifacts to look through, electronic evidence to identify what's actually occurring out there.
Fascinating. And again, we wish our best to those newspapers. They're having enough trouble. They don't need this on top of everything. David Kennedy, good to see you, David. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.